And we are live. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mouse Madness, an early edition of Mouse Madness this week, because we have a very special guest this week who is joining us, who has done so in the past, and we are very grateful that he is here. But when we're talking Endgame Avengers, there's nobody else I'd rather have here than my buddy Dan from Dizneydan. Dan, good to have you, bud.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm so pumped for this movie.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, everything has led to this, and I can't wait to discuss this with you before I get my mind completely blown by this movie.
Yep. For those that don't know, I'll let Dan tell it in a little bit. But Dan's he's going soon, for sure. But real fast, let me say hi to some people in the chat because I really appreciate you getting in here early. It is earlier than normal. Brian's here. Good to see you, Brian. Dougie, good to see you. John Hazelton, welcome in. Greg, welcome in. Good to see you. Noah, glad you're here. Glad everybody's here. Stacy, welcome in, Stacy. Good to see you. We appreciate that. We're going to be talking Avengers Endgame for the next hour, and we got a lot of different things we're going to talk about with this. But as more people come in, we'll say hi to them. And again, I really appreciate all that are here. I know it's a little bit of a different time, but I definitely wanted to make sure that we got Dan on. Hey, Nerdy Blurb TV, good to see you, buddy. And it's Miguel. Miguel, good to see you from A Disney Life. Thank you for joining us. And here we go. So before we do that, Dan, though, I want you to plug your channel for those that might watch the replay or might be new. I think mostly everybody in here knows you, but I always, for replay purposes, please tell them about your channel.
So my channel is Dizneydan. It's mainly a Disney YouTube channel, mainly just about my love of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, everything, the whole thing. Disney food, which I do my Disney Food Fridays on a Friday, which makes everybody hungry, apparently. And Disney Fiasco, which is every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have our 1 year anniversary coming up in a couple of weeks, which is going to be crazy. But I'm going to be covering some Marvel stuff. I've got my Marvel review and Marvel spoiler review ready to be planned for this upcoming trip to the movie theater in counting down the hours.
That's right. Yeah, you're about a little over 24 hours away, I guess. Or will you be in there at this point?
I will be. So I'm going to the movie theater tomorrow night. I'm doing a double bill with Infinity War and Endgame, and it starts at 8:50, and then that will run to around 11:30. So I'll still be watching Infinity War in 24 hours' time. And then at midnight tomorrow, so midnight really on Thursday, is when I see Endgame. And I'm pumped. I'm so excited.
I can't wait to. I know you're excited. Steve, welcome in, buddy. I know Steve's probably still at work, but thank you for being here. And we're gonna talk Endgame. But before we even get to Endgame, there's been a ton that's led up to this point, and we would be remiss if we didn't kind of go back and talk about the previous movies and what kind of makes those movies so special that's gotten us to this point as to why us and tens of millions of other people are so excited about it. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's all led up to this, we've spent so many years. I think it's now 22 movies. This is the 22nd movie. And it's over 10 years just building and building and building. We've had like 3 movies a year the last couple of years, and we're getting so many characters, so many different angles. It's all built up to last year where we had Infinity War, which was just mind-boggling. And then now it's kind of just like, it's like the Return of the King. It's like Return of the Jedi. It's like the final chapter, or so we think. But it feels like the final chapter of this massive franchise. So it's all very exciting.
I agree. It definitely does. Hey, D. Hazel, welcome in. Good to see you. I definitely feel like it feels like a final chapter. The thing for me is what makes it so special to previous movies is we've grown with these characters. We've seen them from the very beginning, their origins, and we've been through their ups and downs, and we've connected with these characters, and we've grown to love them. So as they've made mistakes or done good things and things that they may not wish they had done, we've grown with those characters to the point that we feel like we've followed them on this journey to where we are now, to this culmination of, like you said, 22 movies, which is crazy to really think that it's been that many movies.
It's nuts.
Go ahead, like you were going to say. I mean,
well, I was going to say, like, some of them were standalone movies and some of them were, you know, sequels or prequels or whatever, but they all fit into this one big universe. And even though, you know, watching something like Doctor Strange and Black Panther, two completely separate movies, they all fit together somehow. And it all just, you know, we got that in Infinity War and with the other previous Avengers films, you know, bringing people together just makes it even more epic. So this is going to be like the most epic one. If we thought Infinity War was epic, this is going to be beyond that. I agree.
And hey, AJC Magic TV, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Dan, you're right. It's amazing how, and this is the vision of Marvel and Kevin Feige that's been so amazing and almost awestruck for me, is his vision of being able to really, the synergy, I guess that's the word I'm looking for, of these movies, how they all intertwine and can be standalone yet still connect to the MCU. It's crazy.
Yeah, just oh gosh, I can't even think about what the, you know, Kevin Feige has planned for all these characters, you know, the ones that have been killed off or by the snap, or the ones that have still survived. Like, I'm just curious of what's happened. So yeah.
Miguel says Dan had a good video where he proposes some things or some thoughts on who might be the one to kill Thanos. However, no one defeats Thanos. Thanos wins the universe, is destroyed, and it's all over.
If you want to talk about anticlimactic,
that would be. You're right. That's exactly right. And speaking of characters, I want to move on to our next topic with this.
Yeah,
there's tons of characters throughout these movies. Some that are newer than others, and some that have been with us since day one. Who do you feel are going to play? I think we know, but who do you think are going to play the big roles in this movie for Endgames? Who's coming to the forefront? Is it the original 6? Just a couple? 2 or 3? What do we think? How do we see?
You know, there are some that I feel like are some obvious ones, and I feel like I do have some that might surprise, like a lot of us. You know, one person I watched today, literally an hour before we started this, I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I'm gonna put it out there. I think that Hope and Hank Pym, and they will have a big role because we know that the quantum realm is going to have a big involvement in this movie.
I agree. Yep.
And I don't think people have really thought about, you know, Hope as the Wasp and Hank Pym and maybe Ant-Man building that connection, you know, with the Avengers and then bringing them into the quantum realm, making that link to Hope and maybe using them and like just teaming up with them to maybe go back in time. I don't know, because there's no space or time in the quantum realm. So I genuinely think people quite maybe overlooking this, but I think the Wasp and Hank Pym are going to have a big role in this movie, even though they weren't in Infinity War. So I think that's quite a that's something I brought to mind.
No, I agree. And for some reason, it's funny you say that. There's the obvious ones that we know, and we don't even have to mention their names.
Just lift up the t-shirt.
But there are, I think personally, I think Hawkeye's going to play. It's funny you said Ant-Man, because I was on the same wavelength, just a different avenue. I think Hawkeye, or Ronan, whatever you want to call him, I think he's somehow going to have a big part in this. I think that's why both of these guys were left out of the previous movie. And I think they're going to get their just due in this somehow. How he does it, I don't know. I mean, I know Hawkeye's just a guy that shoots arrows. But I do. But think back to his movie. What was the one where they hid when he went to his house?
It was Age of Ultron.
Right. Oh, Age of Ultron. He had such a big part in that movie. He was the guy that kind of kept them together. And I think he'll have the same type role in this one. I think it'll be something that's important to the movie. So that's my guy. Obviously, we know the obvious ones that are going to play the big part. The big 3 are going to be there in the end. Thor, Cap, Tony, Iron Man. They're going to be there. But I think these other guys, are going to help save the day, but in a bigger way than not just a supporting role. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. There's one character that springs to mind that, for me could go either way. There's one character that's been built up from Guardians 2, and Infinity War, and that's Nebula.
That's we forget her.
I really think Nebula is going to have a massive role. She, we learned from Guardians 1 that it wasn't just Ronin that was involved, but it was, Thanos as well. And then in Guardians 2, she says, she wants to hunt down Thanos and kill him, for not having not having a proper daughter, favoring Gamora over Nebula and turning her into this cybernetic thing. And then she got tortured in Infinity War. Spoilers, but you should have watched it by now. No mercy from me. But I genuinely, but in the comics, Nebula actually took the Infinity Gauntlet and defeated Thanos. So will we see that? Could Nebula become? Will she stay on the side of the Avengers? Or will she get hold of that power and be like, hey, I've got the power now and I've killed Thanos. Am I going to, continue to have this power? I think she's going to be a very pivotal point in this movie. And people, again, are quite overlooking Nebula.
I agree. And if there's anybody out there that has major incentive to want to take him out, there aren't many that have more incentive than Nebula to take him out. I'll say that with all the torture he's done to her, and then what happened to Gamora.
Well, yeah, even more so than Drax. Drax has that vendetta against him, but not as much as Nebula, I don't think.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And Miguel says after Infinity War, it seems pretty hopeless. He says I have no idea who can kill Thanos. Well, I think it'll be a combination. I really do. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a team effort. I really, really do. Let me say hi real fast to the Shep family. Welcome in. Also want to say hi to Chris, Disney World Adventures. Welcome in. Michael Riley. Welcome in. Thank you all for being here. Dan, I go back to one line in Age of Ultron. It's one of my favorites. And it goes back to the scene right after Ultron did his thing. And Thor comes in and kind of chokes Tony, and they're sitting there. And Tony says, that's the end game up there. And he goes, how are we going to defeat it? Cap says, together. And then Tony says, we'll lose. And Cap says, then we'll do that together too. That's one of my favorite lines in all of Marvel movies. But together is how I think they're going to beat them. I really do.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I feel like it's their last kind of push before, it's the last thing that they can do. It's their last resort. And if this is the way for all three of those guys to go out, so be it. But I just can't see them all going out, those three, those key, like Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. Iron Man gave Thanos his biggest challenge, but Thanos he kind of killed Iron Man already, but Doctor Strange saved his life.
Right.
So that gives me, even though that was such a small scene, I feel like Iron Man's not going to die because he kind of already nearly died in Infinity War. Look, Thor's a god. And if Hercules can tell you anything, you can't kill a god unless he's mortal.
Right.
So I don't think Thor's going to die, but who knows?
You never know. I mean, Odin died.
Odin died, yeah. But he kind of Luke Skywalker, though.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he did. He did, absolutely. I want to say hi to Meg. Welcome in, Meg.
Hey, Meg.
Meg, good to be here. Well, good that you're here.
Yeah, conveniently when I brought up that Hercules reference, she
showed up. Absolutely. Dougie, welcome in. I don't know if we said hi to Dougie before, but I want to say hi.
Hey, Dougie, what's up, pal? But unfortunately, the man whose shield you have on your shirt, I feel, is going to he's got the strongest chance of leaving us, I'm afraid. My pal, Chris.
Well, I think we'll get to that when we get to a couple other plots. I don't disagree. But I do want to say, what is it you're most looking forward to about this movie? If you said, "Oh man, I really hope this happens," or "I really hope these characters happen together," or this, what is it you're most looking forward to that you want to see happen?
I'm just excited to see how, they bring, not like I want to not only see them bring everybody back, but see their, their interactions with the people who didn't get caught by the snap. Like, I want to see Tony and Peter Parker come together again, which I'm sure will happen.
Right.
I'm desperate because that moment in Infinity War where Spidey, turns into dust was really touching. It was probably the saddest part of the movie.
Oh yeah.
So to see him with Tony again would be amazing. Like, I would love to see the Guardians back together. I'd love to see Black Panther and Okoye and Shuri back together. I'm just looking forward to, I want to see that big, remember in the first Avengers film where they stand in a circle and it's an epic shot, right in the middle of New York. I want to get another epic shot with every single Avenger, every single Guardian, every single member of Wakanda, including like M'Baku and all these just random characters, but important characters. I want a massive like screenshot, like in the original Avengers, with everybody in it, and they're going to be like, hey, we're about to take it to Thanos. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think for me, the biggest thing I want to see is I need to see the reconciliation of Cap and Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever side you're on with that, and I know Dougie's very strong in his opinion on that, and obviously I'm on the other side of it. But that's important to me. Their relationship over the years has been a very dynamic one, and it's one that I feel that the Avengers don't win unless the two of them together. And we've seen snippets of that happening, but I want to see that moment. But I also want to see the moment. I want to see the moment in Thanos' eyes when the moment comes that he realizes he's lost. That's what I'm looking forward to for me. And whoever it is that beats him, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to see it.
Yeah. And look, if let's say Cap does die, let's say he does beat the dust and we need somebody to take over the Captain America mantle. I just want to see like a shot of the shield on the floor, and then someone kicks it. It goes up to his arm, and you see the Winter Soldier with his arm and the shield on his right arm, and just go at it with Thanos. I'd love to see that. Just like these small scenes that make it powerful because Bucky was his best friend. He went through like the whole of the Hydra, mind control thing. Like, they were best friends, and the only way to do justice to Cap if he died was to pick up the mantle as Cap. That would be pretty awesome. But yeah, again, like, I just who knows what's going to happen. We have no idea who's going to die, who's going to come back. Like, is Loki going to come back? Is Heimdall going to come back? We have no idea. Like, what I love is we don't know anything. They've given us all these trailers and we still don't know nothing.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. I agree. It's going to be, I was blown away. I've already seen, and I don't know that you've seen it yet. You probably have. I've seen reviews because last night was the world premiere.
Yep.
I've already seen reviews from people, and they've been nothing but
praise.
Shocking is what I'm going to say. Yeah. Shockingly good. We all see, great movie, wonderful through and through. Read the reviews from the people on Twitter and stuff like that. They're different types of positive reviews. I don't know how to word it, but do you get my drift?
Yeah.
What I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's kind of just I think there's no other directors who could have directed this movie apart from the Russo brothers.
Oh, I agree.
They did an amazing job with The Winter Soldier, which was an amazing movie. Civil War was fantastic. Infinity War was incredible. Like, they're on a roll right now, and I trust them as directors to finish off this massive chapter.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they will. I think they'll definitely do it right. I think from what I've seen, they say this movie, anybody that's a Marvel fan will walk out of there highly vindicated and feel like it was 10 years of movies that were well worth it. That's what I've heard. So we will see. They said it's a fantastic payoff to the fans, and I sure hope so.
Yeah,
because I feel invested in these movies, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. I want to go through the feels. I want to be like laughing, which I know I will, crying, just smiling. Like, I don't know. I just want to be like on the edge of my seat the whole time, like I was with Infinity War, because literally from the get-go, Infinity War kicked off with a bang. We had Hulk and Thanos straight away. I
Oh,
want
sure.
this. I want the same thing. I want it to go head, like literally. Thanos was in his little farm thing. He did that walk thing like in Gladiator, and he sat down in his little barn hut. I wanted to pick up right from there, and I want to be back in it. And I'm doing the double bill. I want to be like, right, I had 20 minutes break. I'm back in it. I can't wait to just watch.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And for me, I need one of those fist pump moments, like, yes.
Yeah.
One of those too. It's like, yes, whatever it might be. You've got to have one of those in there, at least one of those, if not more.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how it ends. But plot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I was just saying about like who may come back that we think is definitely dead. Like do we think Loki's gonna come back? Do we think Gamora's gonna come back? I don't know. Like it's all to play for. We have no idea because Zoe Saldana and Tom Hiddleston have not been on the press releases.
Right. I agree.
Will they make a shocking return like the Red Skull did in Infinity War? We have no idea.
Yep, I agree 100%. D and Miguel says D and I haven't been to a movie in the theaters in years. We're going to have to make this one happen. I agree. This one you got to see in the movie theater, man. I'm sorry, you got to have that experience. Be sure to do it. I want to say hi to Explosive Phoenix, who just walked in as well. Meg's funny. Meg says any scene with Spider-Man has a fist pump moment.
Yep. And what's even better is we've got Spider-Man Far From Home in a couple months.
That's right. That's right. Your guy, Dougie, that's not nice. Dougie said, well, what about when he died, Meg? Is that a fist pump moment too? Probably not. He said it. I'm just the messenger.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And Meg says she doesn't think Gamora comes back.
I don't think I'm on the same side as Meg here.
I don't see how Loki comes back. If Gamora doesn't come back, I don't see how Loki comes back. I mean, first off, I don't want him to come back at this point. 4 times the charm. I mean, at this enough's enough. I mean, he was a great character and he was fun, but move on. That's my opinion.
Yeah, the only reason why I would say maybe is because he is like the god of mischief. He's always, he always phases himself into fake like Lokis. I don't even,
right.
you know what he does. But with Gamora, I think Gamora's death was necessary because not only did it build Thanos' character, it built Star-Lord's character as well. Mm-hmm. And kind of her character didn't really have an ending. Like she, her purpose was to build other characters in a way, like Nebula, like Star-Lord, like Thanos. So I can't see Gamora coming back, but who knows? Maybe they turn back time and she magically comes back and she's purple instead of green. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Now let's go moving on to that. What's the one thing of the past, and, because we talked about the Endgame, that you're going to miss the most about these previous films in this era of Marvel? What is it you think you'll miss the most?
That's a tricky question because I've loved the Avengers movies as a team up. So I've loved the original Avengers, Age of Ultron, Civil War. I'm counting that as a half Avengers movie. I'm just gonna miss maybe the interactions with all of these original characters together if some of them do get killed off. And this the fate. I'm gonna miss this storyline. This whole storyline with the Infinity Stones over these 22 movies. I'm looking forward to seeing what new big bad villain is going to come after Thanos, because we know there's more movies coming. So who's going to be this big bad guy next? So it's going to be sad seeing this storyline end, this whole chapter. But I'm also excited to see what is new that's going to come afterwards.
Yep, and we're going to talk about that too before we head out. We'll definitely talk about moving forward for sure. For me, the one thing I'm going to miss the most about the previous films are the newness. Because for me, it was the first time learning of Iron Man. First time learning about Doctor Strange. First time learning about Thor. I knew a little bit about Cap, but even Cap fully. First time learning about Cap. First time learning about Hawkeye. All these characters.
Yeah.
Having that newness of learning these great characters, but also just the characters themselves. I mean, Cap's my favorite. Everybody knows that. I make no bones about it. I'm going to miss having him around. But I'm going to miss Tony, too. I love Tony. I'm going to miss Hulk. I'm going to miss all these characters, Thor, that we feel this is probably going to be their last movie. The dynamic of these characters has been so wonderful that's what's going to be missed the most for me.
But I'm totally agree. But I do like how Marvel introduces new characters. If you go back to whenever Guardians of the Galaxy was announced, right? Not even the movie was released yet. We had no one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. Like no one knew who they were.
I didn't.
I had no idea. It was only until they introduced us in the movie who these characters were and how amazing this group of, Guardians were. Like they were really, really cool. And I think Marvel's very good at, bringing in new characters and just seeing how they go and building new relationships. We kind of get that new relationship with Peter Parker and Doctor Strange in Infinity War while they were on the ship. We know that Doctor Strange is getting another movie. We know Spidey is surviving because he's got another movie. So they're going to have big roles in the future. But, I am going to miss Iron Man's my favorite. I've always loved Iron Man. I was always Team Stark over Team Cap. But, I still am going to miss Cap. I think he's a cool character. And I hope Hulk stays around because I feel like Hulk hasn't... I feel like Hulk needs to do more before he goes because he's such an awesome character. And I feel like Thor's going to stay as well. But who knows? I don't know. It's kind of all up in the air. But Cap and Iron Man are the two, which I'm a bit nervous about.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. Moving forward, I agree 100%. It's going to be fun, though. I think the movie's going to be fantastic. Now let's talk box office. Because this is where I think the true test of longevity is going to really have to play a part for this movie. Because there are plenty of movies that do great the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Longevity is going to have to be key. And also, and longevity, part of that is going back twice, 3 times, 4 times to see a movie. What are your thoughts? Where's it going to fall in the all-time? And I can go over it. I got the numbers right here, all-time, domestic and worldwide. How's it going to fare?
I'm going to be very honest. I don't think Marvel is too worried about their numbers because Marvel, this Endgame has the highest pre-sale sold tickets of all time, I believe. They have I think it was something ridiculous. Like they've sold out in like the first weekend. Of all time. I don't even know what it is. It's scheduled, like it's predicted to be the biggest opening of a weekend of all time.
Yep.
And I'm going to be honest. Like for every person who went to see Infinity War and watched it and for the first time that opening weekend and told everybody how amazing it was, then they told their friends and then they went to see Infinity War and then that keeps growing. And now everybody who went to see Infinity War, bearing in mind this is like one of the highest grossing movies of all time, everyone's waiting for this cliffhanger. Marvel has played this smart because it's a cliffhanger. Now, everybody who went to see Infinity War wants to go and see, Endgame. And look, Avengers Infinity War and Black Panther made over $1 billion. I think nearly $2 billion or something.
Yep.
I think Endgame will be at 2 billion like that. I really genuinely think that with all the hype they've built over this last year and all the marketing, all the hype, it's going to blow it all away. I'm almost confident.
Well, what worries me is I get what you're saying. I think it's going to break it's already broken the pre-sales. I understand. I think it's going to break the first weekend. That I absolutely do. But it's got some crazy competition to take the number 1 spot, the number 2 spot, or even the number 3 spot all time. For as great as Infinity War did, it was still $22 million behind Black Panther in just the domestic. It was Avengers Infinity War was almost $300 million behind The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens domestically almost did $1 billion by itself, just domestically in the U.S. It's going to be crazy, but I wonder about the longevity. I think it falls just ahead of Black Panther, but it falls behind Avatar. Avatar did 760. I think Infinity War is going to be about 740.
Yeah.
Domestically.
It's going to be tough because just thinking about it, I genuinely believe it can beat Avatar because Marvel has got a big market in places like China, and China is, they love Marvel over there. That's going to be a massive contributor to worldwide sales, as well as the United States. Look, granted, the UK isn't the biggest market because we are a tiny country, but the rest of the world, in my mind, worldwide, I believe that Avengers will beat Avatar. I think number 1's Titanic, isn't it?
For internationally, if you look at everything worldwide, it's Avatar, $2.7 billion.
Yeah.
And then it's Titanic. They're number 1 and number 2 worldwide. And then it's The Force Awakens.
I generally feel it could beat Titanic. Avatar, now thinking about it, I'm not too sure. But because that was a revelation film, that was just, I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, I agree. No, me either. I didn't see anything like it either. And I think Meg makes a good point with Star Wars. Star Wars touches so many generations, though, and that's my point. But that's my point. That's why I don't think Endgame's going to break all the records. I think it's going to do fantastic early. I think it's going to break a lot of early records. Longevity is a different story. I wonder where it's going to go there.
Though this is the ending of a 10-year
I agree
story.
I'm with
you. With what Infinity War did, and how that just blew up over the space of a year, and how people got to learn that film over a year, because people obviously didn't go and just see that in the movie theater. They bought the Blu-ray, they bought the digital copy, and people have spread the word. I feel like it's going to be bigger than Infinity War, no doubt. And I think it will have the legs to, go on and, take down Black Panther or take down, whatever
Avatar.
it is. So
Avatar. I agree. I'd be fine with that. I have no problem with that at all. I want this movie to be incredibly successful. It's going to be interesting to see. I really will. The first week, 2 weeks, I know how it is. What I'm going to watch is where we are in week 5.
Yeah.
When other movies start coming out, that's where I want to see. I want to say hi to Brandy and Dave, who just dropped in. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. But I'm telling you, this is the year that Disney's really going to set themselves apart when it comes to movies. They just keep. Now, I know Dumbo didn't do great, but I think that'll be the least of the ones that are coming, to be honest. And that's a whole nother story. But
well, Disney now owns something like, I can't even remember how much, like 50% of the cinema market now that they own Fox.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Like, if you even look at the top 5 domestic box office in domestic and worldwide, isn't it like 3 out of the 5 are Disney owned properties?
Oh, absolutely.
3 or 4.
Yep.
So
it's amazing.
Disney rule the world, pretty much.
Pretty much. They're getting there. I agree.
Yep.
I want to go back real fast, talking about characters that bit the dust, so to speak, and literally. Hey, Chills TV. Chills TV, I want to say hi. Yeah, pretty much. Who do you think, if you had to choose between the ones that went to dust, if you could give me a name or two, who would you say doesn't come back? Anybody, or just do they all come back?
That's a tricky question. The only one who I can really think of is someone like Hank Pym. I generally feel someone like Hank Pym's not going to make it. Because he's obviously very, very smart. He's like the Howard Stark equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Hank Pym is going to have a big role in this movie, even though he might not even be in the movie, but he got turned to dust, and then he has big involvement in the quantum realm. I feel like he might have a role where people might not expect it. So I feel like though Thanos is going to bring everybody back, but I don't know.
It would be interesting to see if they weren't to bring them all back, who would be the ones that didn't come back. Like you said, you can't. Maybe would it be Groot? Maybe.
No.
But you can't. Right? Exactly. You can't not have Groot. I guess I was just kind of playing that for fun, but I would assume they all come back. But I think Meg said Vision, but he didn't necessarily.
He didn't get turned to dust.
He didn't get turned to dust.
He just got his head ripped out of.
Exactly. He just got his skull. It's totally different. It's less painful.
Is it?
Yep. I don't know. Well, I don't want to find out.
I don't think Vision's coming back, if I'm honest.
Really? But if the stone's there, isn't he alive? What's your theory there?
The only person who made the Vision was pretty much Ultron and Thor's hammer from Mjolnir. Well,
yep.
I can't even. Yeah. One, he doesn't have Mjolnir. Can't even say it properly. Ultron's pretty much destroyed. So how is Vision going to you can't? It won't be the same Vision, will it? Clearly the stones will be destroyed, so he can't have the stone inside him anymore. So he won't have all of his powers. I really don't think he's coming back. I think Scarlet Witch is. Yeah.
But here's my answer to that. They're doing a Scarlet Witch Vision television show. It's called Ultra Vision. Or I think that's what they said. Or Scarlet Vision or something like that on the Disney streaming service. It's one of their original contents that they're going to have. She's got her own show that's coming out on the Disney streaming service in November with her and him in it.
Uh-huh. Well, that just completely ruined my theory then. Well, I guess Vision's coming back then. Spoiler alert. There you go. Don't bother seeing Endgame because we know Vision's coming back. And guess what? Ultron's coming back as well.
Oh, man, I wouldn't mind that. He was okay.
I wouldn't mind that. I think he was a cool character. I don't know. I would love to see
WandaVision. That's what it's called. It's called WandaVision.
WandaVision.
Like you said it. I'm sorry.
I would love to see the Time Stone be put back, and then you have Quicksilver back, Wanda back, and then out of the shadows comes Magneto, and you'd be like, and you could do a Star Wars moment. You could be like, "I am your father," and he has the balls of magnetism around him.
That would be so
that'd be epic. That'd be so cool.
Well, we can talk about that next because we're going to talk about the MCU moving forward after this movie. So that's a great point as to what we might see when it comes to end credit scenes. Where do you think? And we'll get. And I want to start there. I want to start with end credit scenes. What do you think the Russo brothers might have in mind for end credit scenes?
I genuinely think when they were planning this movie, they had two sets of end credit scenes. One with the Fox deal and one without.
Okay.
Now that the Fox deal has gone ahead, they might have placed the Fox deal Fox deal end credit scenes in the movie and taken out the ones that weren't going to be. So who could we possibly see in the end credit scenes? Could we see the Silver Surfer? Could we see Galactus?
Right.
Could we see the Fantastic Four? Could we see the X-Men? Could we see Wolverine? Could we see whoever? Will we see a Fox character in the end credit scene?
Well, I think that would be something to really be a good thing for them moving forward to do that, is to bring something like that into it, because it's important that we have some sort of lift at the end that's going to really help us moving forward. So I agree 100%. If they can do that, that would be amazing to do that. I'm agreeing with you. I think somewhere along the lines, Wolverine comes in and gives us some sort of cameo. What do you think?
I just want like a small scene where like someone's like driving on a motorcycle out of the mansion. He gets off the motorcycle, and you just see the camera pan down to his waist, and you just see three claws coming in on top of the screen, and you're like, oh no, like that would be so cool. Or you see like, I don't know, like you could just have I don't know, just like brain. You could
Could be. It could be. I would like to welcome in, by the way, to Amanda, the Lucky Minute. Thanks for being here. Dougie said no end credit scenes.
No.
That's what
you have to have an end credit scene.
I agree. I that would be interesting if they went that route, but I think a lot of people would be disappointed.
I would love to see like maybe a different character that we haven't seen before, like the Silver Surfer. I think that'd be an awesome character.
You took my thunder. That's who I was going to say. I swear.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fantastic. We're great minds think alike, except on the Cap and Tony thing.
Can't have it always.
I was really going to say I would love to see an end credit scene where they're kind of panning through space, and all of a sudden you see the Silver flying down like he's heading towards Earth. That would be really neat too. Yeah. But something like that. That would be cool.
Or what about kind of like Wakanda? Imagine this, right? A pan shot, kind of looking like Wakanda, but slightly different, dark, rainy, castle-y, and you just see a throne, and all you see is a metal man with a green hood.
That would be great.
I want a good Doctor Doom. I want a good Doctor Doom.
He's the next big bad. Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. But Dougie makes a good point, though. I got to admit this. He said he's going to put money on it. The credits will be a reflection of the last 11 years. I see that all the way up to when the credits are done. Yep. And then at the end, I'm telling you, there'll be something. I agree with Ducky, but I think there'll be something at least at the end. There may not be a middle credits one, but there'll be an end one.
Yeah. Do we fill in some more loose ends from other films? Do we get to see like an Adam Warlock?
Maybe.
Who knows?
I agree. And let's get into that moving forward. Cause I know we're coming up. We only got a few minutes left, 15 minutes, and this next part I think is going to take the entire 15 minutes. Moving forward with the MCU. We'll start with the first question. Moving forward for the good guys. We'll start with good guys.
Yep.
Who's going to lead the charge? I mean, Tony is kind of the leader right now. Cap's right there with him and Thor, but these guys are going to be gone or very close to being gone. Who's going to be leading the charge?
I think in terms of leadership, I think that would have to be Captain Marvel.
Okay.
I think she is, apart from probably Thor, the most powerful Avenger. She was in the Air Force, so she's a military woman. She's a good leader. I think she's quite a strong woman to lead a group of people. Because I can't see someone like Spidey or Black Panther or Doctor Strange being a leader. And I just see Captain Marvel be more of a leader role.
Okay.
That's who I'm going to go with.
All right. Yep. I definitely think that's their hope or their vision. No pun intended. I really do. I think that's where they want to go. But now that Fox is brought into this, don't be surprised if you see a Fantastic Four or an X-Men or maybe, Professor X. It could very well possibly happen. But you're right. I think for the next phase 4, I think it'll be Captain Marvel. But they're going to tap into this universe that they've now gotten their hands on. And these guys are going to play a prominent role, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I think it would be quite good for Marvel if they brought us in slowly. I think You know, maybe in like a Doctor Strange movie, we have an X-Men show up. Maybe someone like a Beast or a Storm or someone like that who shows up to Doctor Strange, kind of setting up for an X-Men movie. Or during Spider-Man Far From Home, we get to see the Human Torch or the Thing or someone like that, setting up a Fantastic Four movie. I don't think we need to be thrown straight into an X-Men movie. Look, we've had 10 X-Men movies. If I'm honest, I don't really want to see another big X-Men movie. I want to kind of see more about the characters rather than a big team up. If I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm desperate to see a good Fantastic Four movie, which I know Marvel will do, because I think I believe it or not, I think you did like one of the Fantastic Four movies.
I did. I like Silver Surfer. I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. I'll put it to you that way. I did not mind it. I'm sorry.
Just with Mr. Fantastic being the wobbly man, you know, you see at parking lots.
Yeah, they made it a little too campy. I will say that for sure.
It was very. Don't get me started on Fant Four Stick. You know, the one that came out.
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible.
And I call it Fant Four Stick because it has a 4 in the middle of Fantastic, and I can't. And if you put a number in the middle of a word, I use the number, so it's Fant Four Stick, and it's terrible. And I highly recommend no one watch. I'm going to stop ranting now.
A couple of things. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, look, I would love to see a good Fantastic Four film. I'm really looking forward to Black Panther 2. I love Black Panther. Spider-Man, I mean, you can't really go wrong. Far From Home looks awesome. We're getting Mysterio, which I'm super excited. Jake Gyllenhaal's in it, which because he's one of my favorite actors. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what the next thing's going to happen.
Me too. I want to say hi to Disney Nerd Herders who just came in. Welcome in. Couple things in the chat. Miguel says he thinks Black Panther is going to lead the way because he says a location. He's a leader of his people. Makes sense. I can see that. They could definitely put him there. Meg also says she thinks Tony's going to keep leading because he needs to go out with a bang. I think he's going to go out with a bang in this movie. I hate to say it. I know you don't want him to, but I think he's going to get his big moment. I think all of them are going to get their big moment. I really, really do. Yeah. But don't be surprised. That's all I'm saying.
You don't think like the Winter Soldier or Rhodey will take up their best friend's mantles?
They could, but it won't be Tony.
No,
that's
look,
what I mean.
As much as I love War Machine,
as
much as I love War Machine, he's not going to be a Tony Stark.
No, he's not even close. No way, not even close. And also, Meg says we don't need any more X-Men movies. But see, that's where I bring up as an example Spider-Man. How many Spider-Man movies have we had? And yet we continue to want them. But I get it. You guys love Spider-Man, but that's my point. Is you can find people who could say that as well. Well, and Batman's another one. Why do we continuously have to have Batman movies? You do them because they work, and because first off, with X-Men, you have a ton of different characters you can pull from.
Yeah.
Including villains. You can do it over. Yeah. And it works. It just works. That's why they will continue to do it, in my opinion.
With Spider-Man, though, there was I'm gonna be really honest. There was only 2 good Spider-Man movies. And that was 1 and 2. I thought 2 was amazing, but none of the Spider-Man movies felt like true Spider-Man.
Okay.
And when he came into the MCU, Tom Holland was a perfect casting choice. He was a perfect Spider-Man, a perfect Peter Parker, whereas both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield had good qualities of either or, but none of both. Like, Andrew Garfield, I feel, was a good Spider-Man, but not a good Peter Parker. And Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker, but not a great Spider-Man.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. But Tom Holland has got a great Spider-Man because it's all together. Whereas X-Men has great movies. They have Days of Future Past, X-Men's 1 and 2. The Wolverine is good. First Class is great. Like, X-Men movies, I feel like we will need one eventually, but not right now.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree. I want them to sprinkle in here and there to get our mind ready for them, that they're coming. and just give us little tidbits here and there. I totally get that. I agree with Dougie. He says the X-Men need a reboot. I agree 100%.
I agree with that too.
I'm fine with totally recasting everybody. As much as I love Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, move on. I'm with that too. I just, you know.
I would love the X-Men's franchise Quicksilver though. Could you imagine how good that Quicksilver?
Fantastic.
How amazing! I just want a Days of Future Past sequence in an MCU with that Quicksilver. That would be awesome.
Right, I agree. I'm 100%. But we'll see where we go moving forward. The next big bad, you mentioned it earlier, and I think now that they have the rights, I don't know that he'll be, obviously, like you said, we want to sprinkle it in.
Yep.
But I think he's the best of the baddies that we could go next, that they could really build a nice 10-year arc on. And for me, that's Dr. Doom. And I think you hit it right on the head. He's the next one that could be awesome, in my opinion. Who do you think that? But for the near future, who's the next big baddie? Who do we get?
There's there's 4 that came to mind. I think Ultron, I feel needs to, because Ultron is a big bad guy in the comics. Like he's like comes up all the time. He's never dead, and I feel like we need more from Ultron at some point. So I would love to see Ultron back. Doctor Doom for sure. He's the Marvel villain. Like he is the Marvel villain of all time. Kang the Conqueror, which Explosive Phoenix said in the chat.
Yep,
Kang the Conqueror goes back in time and conquers worlds. He is an awesome villain. And then a non-cloud Galactus, a proper Galactus.
Yes.
Like I even in like, you know how I've said like this Infinity chapter, you know, is ending. I feel like in the 3rd chapter, after another 10, 20 odd movies, I would love to see Galactus as the ultimate big bad guy. They bring back everybody to take on Galactus. That would be a awesome villain.
Yeah, I agree. I think any of those I'd be fine with, but you have got to do it right.
Yep.
Now, Marvel's been good with that. Look, Marvel's had their hiccups, in my opinion. I'm not one that's just going to love Marvel because it's Marvel. If I don't like it, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. But for the most part, they've knocked it out of the park. But they have got to make these next villains, because they knocked it out of the park with Thanos. They couldn't have done a better job than Josh Brolin. He's amazing.
Very good. One of the best villains, I think, in cinema.
Absolutely. He is amazing. He's not over the top. He's down to earth, and he does the role right.
Yeah.
If they can continue to do that, they're going to make some awesome villains.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I do. I really think they can, for sure. We'll see what happens, though. But for me, new characters coming in, I agree. The X-Men are coming. Fantastic Four are coming. But let's forget about them for a second. What new Marvel characters do you think are coming that are going to get standalones? Not the ones that we know, maybe ones we don't know.
Oh, I would love to see a Squirrel Girl standalone movie. I would love to see a Squirrel Girl standalone movie. Like just because of its ridiculousness of this character, but we don't know how powerful she is. I would love to see a Squirrel Girl standalone movie. I think the proper die-hard Marvel fans would love to see that. We know Black Widow is getting her own movie. But I don't know. There's so many other characters we haven't even, I would love to see, this as being the British person in me, I'd love to see a Captain Britain. A Captain Britain standalone movie would be pretty cool. If you don't know anything about Captain Britain, I think he's a great character. Not being biased at all, but he's pretty awesome. But yeah, look, there's so many ways that Marvel can go. And now with the acquisition of Fox, like the world is their oyster.
Yep, I agree. And it's going to be fantastic. And I know we only got about 5 minutes left, but what do you think? What is going to be your overall biggest reaction? Do you think you're going to get from this movie? What is it? What is the emotion that you think you'll have the most?
I feel like at the end of the movie, I'm going to sit back in my chair. I'm just going to look at the screen, and I'm just going to have my mouth dropped. And I feel like a sense of relief, like weight off my shoulders, like just in sheer amazement. Like it'll be like riding Flight of Passage for the first time, and you'll be speechless. That's how I'm gonna put it. But even better than that.
Take care, Meg. I want to say goodbye to Meg. She's leaving.
Yeah, Meg.
Thanks, Meg, for being here. We really appreciate it. Meg says she wants a Ronin or Hawkeye or a Captain Marika. Is that a real person? I don't know who that is.
Howard the Duck movies.
There you go.
Howard the Duck's already been in 2 cameos, and he's already had his own movie. But if you want to watch it, be prepared. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I remember it.
Oh, I was so close to buying it on Blu-ray yesterday.
So I think for me, the emotion that I'm going to have the biggest is going to be sadness, not because of what I think is going to happen, but just because it's going to be the end.
Yeah,
you get like that when all great things come to an end, but it's always bittersweet, and it's going to be like, man, I don't know if they can do this again.
Yeah.
How do you top that?
Well, that's going
to be what's hard.
This is our generation Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Back in, I wasn't around in the 70s and 80s. People went, over from what I've heard, like Star Wars was the biggest thing back then.
It was.
And this is Star Wars. This is what is happening in the 21st century, with Marvel, and this is the Return of the Jedi. This is the Return of the King. This is, the ending of an era, right?
I agree.
For now.
I agree.
For now.
I mean, in a lot of ways. Well, I'll be honest with you, Dan. I don't think it's going to be moving forward. You know the old saying, jump the shark?
Yep.
I think we're not there yet, but I don't think we're far off. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being Mr. Negative.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard to beat these last 22 movies, man. If they can do it again, I'll be shocked.
Anything can beat Iron Man 2 and Thor the Dark World.
That's true. I agree with you there.
Oh, gosh.
Well, look, everybody, I hope you all enjoyed this today. I hope you did, Dan, as my guest. I hope you had a good time. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. In literally 24 hours' time, Infinity War will be over. I'll be gearing up to watching Endgame, and emotions are gonna be riding high because I think we've waited a long time for this movie, and I can't believe I'm seeing it in 24 and a half hours' time.
Yep, it's here. The big moment is finally here. We are a couple days away. As I have this light shining down on my neck. But it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. It's going to be it's going to be amazing. I think you're right. I think we're going to walk out of this thing being like unbelievable. Yep. But thank you to my guests. Dan, tell them about your channel real fast for those who might be watching one more time, please.
Yeah, so Dizneydan, a channel all about Disney, my time as a cast member, all about Disney, Pixar, Marvel, obviously, and Star Wars, which reminds us, me and Walt do a Star Wars Sunday every month.
Yeah.
And next month is Solo, a Star Wars story, which is it's gonna be interesting, for sure. But it's just literally anything under the Disney umbrella is all on my channel. Disney Food Fridays every Friday. Disney Fiasco every Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 1 year anniversary coming up really soon. Yep. And yeah, it was just a pleasure doing this, and I look forward to. We should maybe do like an after movie scene and see what we think. So yeah, please go check out my channel as well, and Wakanda forever, everybody.
Absolutely. And for me, guys, thank you, everybody in the chat. You know who you are. There's so many of you in there. I just appreciate you coming out today. Melissa's here. Hi, Melissa. Oh, she's home.
Hey, Melissa. Splash Mountain, not too long ago.
That's right. But Chills TV's here. D. Hazel, Chris Disney World Adventures, Brian, Zippity Doodad, Disney Nerd Herders, Explosive Phoenix, Dougie, is in here as usual. Thank you, Dougie. Meg from Mickey's Magic, Brandy and Dave. I know Nerdy Blurb TV was in here earlier. I'm sorry, D Hazel. I don't know if I said her earlier, but anybody, if I'm sorry, Steve was in here a little while, but I knew he wasn't going to be here long. But thank you to everybody that showed up today. I know it was a different time, but I wanted to get my boy Dan in here. Couldn't have anybody else when we were talking about Marvel. I had to have the Marvel King here.
Of course.
Yeah. But thank you all for joining us. We go live every Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is our Tuesday theme stream for this week. We won't have one later tonight, but be sure to check out A Disney Life for Me goes live later tonight, I think at 10. Be sure to check them out. Wednesdays is Meg with Wednesdays in Wonderland. Thursdays is us again. We'll be back, and we'll have other people in there. Thursday, you have Chris Disney World Adventures. And, of course, Saturdays is Disney Fiasco with my man Dan here. Be sure to check him out. And Steve and I with Sports Night right after. So thank you, everybody. Get out there. See Endgame this week because we're going to be spoiling it really soon.
Oh, yeah. And if you haven't seen Infinity War, go see Infinity War before Endgame. Otherwise, you'll be lost as a puppy.
Absolutely. You definitely will. But everybody, thank you very much. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Can't forever.